What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome to episode 64 of the Rise to Glory, here with Gibraltar Apex. And today I have for you guys a live commentary. Now, I don't want to say who the commentary is against, because I want you to go and watch the last episode if you didn't watch it. It was the Champions League playoffs, so we're either today back in the Europa League or the Champions League. But if you didn't see that episode, go watch it. Don't wait for the recap. I'm going to give you now 2 seconds. Right, so hopefully you're back. Hopefully you've watched that episode. You've come back to this window. Let's talk. So I thought we'd start on my manager profile here. Firstly, because it means you can't see who we're playing today, but also just so you can see our general progression and a few of our stats. So looking at it here, coaching stats are good, mental stats are good. If we just look at my information, I started out with a National A licence in this save and professional football at national level as my past playing experience. We have learnt some new qualifications, and as you can see, we're currently studying for our Continental Pro licence, which, if I'm not mistaken, I believe is the highest kind of coaching badge you can get. So that's pretty good. In terms of what else is going on, well, not a lot. If we look at our history, you can see we've now spent over 3,000 days in Gibraltar. I feel like I need a cake with 3,000 candles on it. I mean, maybe that would be overkill, but that feels like a little bit of an achievement to me. Obviously, 0 days on holiday. Total career earnings, we've earned £160,000 in the last 8 years. So we're earning about 20 grand a year managing here. It's not great. We're not kind of rolling in money. In terms of the players bought, 115. In terms of players sold, 12. I mean, that's not great. But when you look at the actual net spend, it's only 2.1 million before you look at agent fees. That's not that bad at all, I don't think. In terms of our actual kind of performance, you can see we've played 325 games. We've won 245 of them. We've almost scored 1,000 goals as a club that I've been managing. We've got 979 at the moment. Goals conceded 301. Club goal difference, well, plus 678 isn't too shabby. And neither is the fact that we've now won 75% of our games. Of course, this is now season 9 at the club. So we are getting close to kind of 10 full years at the club, and it'll be interesting to look back, I think, at that point, and we'll kind of look at the club history, where we've come from. I might do like a special episode for that, but you can see, looking at our competition wins, all in all, we've not done bad, have we, in our time here in Gibraltar so far, and hopefully that can continue. Anyway, today we have got a live commentary against Galatasaray. We're away from home. It's the Champions League group stage. We're in Group G, of course. If we look at it, the other 2 teams in our group, of course, are Atletico Madrid and Juventus. This is not an easy group. Galatasaray are actually the top seed in this group. They've done pretty well in Europe over the last few years, and if we just have a look through their team, well, I think it's fair to say they've got some pretty good players. They've got Bruno Motta here. If we just have a flick through, you can pause and have a look. They've got Delafeu. They've got Diego Reyes. They've got this guy, Diogo. He looks like a pretty decent fullback, this Brazilian. And yeah, I think it's fair to say Galatasaray, they've got a good little team under their belt. You flick through these players and you kind of nod and go, yeah, actually, they are quite good. So this is going to be a challenge for us. They've also got this guy who I really like the look of. He was actually a player who I believe at one point I was semi-interested in but couldn't seem to sign him. He ended up going to Galatasaray. This guy, Mokoena, South African forward, very good player. Hopefully he's not playing against us today. So that's that. In terms of our finances, they're all really, really good. Obviously, getting to this stage in the Champions League helps immensely. We have £18 million in the bank. And what I love is, actually, if we go on the home screen, you can see a graph here of where we've come from. It's not too bad to say. There was a stage in this save where I think after 2 years we had £400,000 in the bank, and I felt like an absolute baller at that point. I think that was at this point here. For some reason, the dates along here represent dates of different years, but that's not very clear just looking at it. But this is, I believe, from start to finish. So you can kind of see our financial journey. You can see the point here where we spent £2 million to bring in Mark Stewart, and our finances, they did dip into the red. Of course, we then went on to qualify for the Champions League, and we've done it again here. And we're now at an all-time high. So that is really, 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 really good stuff. Looking at fixtures, just 1 game since the last episode. It was the Pepe Reyes Cup. We beat Gibraltar Lions 3-0. A little bit underwhelming performance-wise. I guess the fact we won it is the main thing. I believe we've now won the Pepe Reyes Cup the last 8 years in a row, I want to say. Maybe it's just 7. Yeah, it's just 7 actually, but that's still not a bad achievement. And kind of unsurprisingly, I guess, Gibraltar Lions, the club owned by a tycoon, they finished 2nd last year, and they finished, obviously, 2nd to us in the Pepe Reyes Cup. In terms of what they've been up to, because I know people have kind of an invested interest in them, they've spent a lot of money again this year. They've brought in a few players, but they're not great players. They're just solid Spanish players. I'm hoping that eventually they might start to make a little bit of progress, perhaps in Europe. Unfortunately, them, like all the other Gibraltarian teams, they've not made it past the first qualifying round of the Europa League yet. It really is us single-handedly kind of carrying the nation's coefficient upwards and onwards, just because the other Gibraltarian teams, they're just getting slaughtered in all competitions at the moment. So that's that. I've not talked about the Gibraltar national team. I'll cover that quickly. I feel like there's more I can talk about this episode because, well, there's only been the one game since the last episode, and also with it being kind of mid-September, it's kind of the start of the season, really, for us. So anyway, looking at Gibraltar here, you can actually see they've dropped down in the world rankings. I believe at one point they were as high as 155th. That is a bit of a guess. I believe it was around there. They've definitely dropped off a little bit. You can see right now, where are they? They are... I'm looking for them. I'm blind. There they are. 178th. I mean, that's not great. Should be a little bit higher than that, I feel. Hopefully, over time, we'll obviously see that improve. I know I've had a lot of people over kind of the last little while ask me, Jack, when are you going to manage the national team? To be the truth be told, the national team is a job I don't really want to grind out like this club job. I'd much rather go to the national team when it's in a fairly decent state and when it starts winning. That might be 10 years away. It might be 20 years away. This is a long-term save. But I do want to manage them at some point, and I think the aim with the national team is going to be to qualify for a World Cup. Realistically, we're never going to win a World Cup as Gibraltar. I mean, it's a nation with a population of, what, 3,000? Not 3,000, 30,000 people, I believe. It's not really realistic. But you know what? We'll see what we can do. Anyway, that's what's been going on the national level. We are, of course, the highest rep league there. In terms of the Primera Division, that has climbed up the club rankings a little bit. It now sits at 111th in the continental kind of rep table. We are now as good as the Maltese Premier League. I mean, can we have a round of applause for that? That's an achievement right there. I mean, that really puts into perspective just where we are and how much more work there is to be done in this save. In terms of other stuff, I think it's worth noting our nation club coefficient is 34th at the moment. I believe we will leapfrog Kazakhstan as well next year. You can see this column here on the right is what it will be next year. This left one number here is the coefficient at the start of the year, and then this is the coefficient so far. So if we get into the Champions League group stage, we add 2.5 points to our coefficient for the nation. I believe that is pretty much entirely us, these points that have been contributed. Either way, the nation coefficient sits at 8.917 for next year, which does mean I believe we will leapfrog both Kazakhstan and Slovenia, and hopefully be on the tails of Iceland. So that's something, you know, making a little bit of progress there. When you consider that when we started this save, we were bottom of this pack, you know. Over the last few years, we've slowly risen. We've overtaken Bosnia and Herzegovina, Latvia, Macedonia, Finland as well. I mean, they're not massive footballing nations, don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, they're nations that are substantially bigger than us. And to progress beyond them is, well, not a bad achievement. I mean, to put it into perspective, Bosnia and Herzegovina's population is 3.8 million. Gibraltar's population, I believe, is 29,000. They literally have 100,000 more people than us, I want to say, if I'm doing my maths correctly. The bottom line is, they have so many more people than us, and for us to be a bigger footballing nation than them, it's not a bad achievement on a club level at least. In terms of qualification places, what does that mean? Well, if we look here, in 34th, we get one spot in the second Champions League round, which is what we've been getting for the last few years. And we also have 3 clubs that qualify for the first qualifying round. We've got to move up this kind of table just a little bit, really, to get to a stage where we'll start to see a big advancement. Once you kind of hit the top 15, that's where the number of teams qualifying for various things does change quite a bit. But either way, you know, we're slowly climbing up. We're not doing too bad. And hopefully, you know, in another 10 years, we'll be... I don't know, I'd like to be kind of in the top 15. I think that would be a realistic expectation. Anyway, that's a little bit about that. I just want to cover club coefficients really quickly. I know for some people these numbers are hellish, but I think it's an interesting thing to look at, and I think I've not covered these perhaps as much as I should. You'll notice here, actually, Bursaspor in purple, they are actually an affiliate of us. Now, they don't have any players that want to come to us on loan yet, but it's the first the first affiliate we've had, which I do actually think is a good one to have. And the board set that up of their own accord. I've had a few people ask me, like, Jack, why aren't you doing more stuff with your board? And, you know, why aren't you getting more senior affiliates? The bottom line is, I'm not getting a choice of the affiliates, and the affiliates I'm being offered are awful. So Bursaspor, the first one where I've kind of looked at the board and applauded them and gone, yeah, you've done a good job there to get us that as an affiliate. Anyway, in terms of the club rankings, we're actually 142nd, which you can see kind of where this slots us in. We're bigger than Apoel, bigger than Spartak Moscow. If if you look at our coefficient points, last year we got 6.6. This year at the moment we've got 4.5, and that's actually going to see our coefficient for next year rise to 17.2, which if we just kind of scroll up a bit, is going to see us... Where are we going to be? We're going to be around here. We're going to be around Werder Bremen level, perhaps. You can see a lot of these nations' coefficients are dropping as well, so it's kind of hard to tell until next year. But we are going to rise up again in terms of our coefficient next year. And you can actually see, if you just look at our seasonal progress, you can see how we slowly made it further in competitions. It's worth noting that the last 6 years... Is it 6 years or 5 years? Either way, the last however many years are kind of how you're judged on this. And if we can start consistently getting to the group stage, that is going to see this coefficient rate value rise. As a result, our rep will rise. And we could start to rocket up this league quite quickly if we do get just, a few more group stage finishes over the next few years, which is only ever going to help the club rep. Anyway, that is all my rambling done about the numbers. Just looking at the club, we still only have 1-star rep. Hopefully that will change over time if we can, maybe snatch a few memorable results here in the Champions League group stage. That would contribute immensely. Today we are taking on Galatasaray. We're going to get straight into this game. In terms of team news, there are a few injuries still. I've had to rotate the team just a little bit. You can see, obviously, Champions League, we have a few players who aren't registered, but new injuries to speak of. McVitie is out for 8 days to 2 weeks with a twisted knee. Zaganda, who we've got on loan, who isn't registered for the Champions League, is out for 2 to 8 days. Jay Marriott, our first choice left back, still out for 3 to 5 weeks with his lower back stress fracture. We then have Peter Lazar, who's out for 8 days to 2 weeks. And we also have Gary, who's still out for a very long time with his torn calf muscle, isn't going to be back for any point in the group stage. And that in itself is a little bit hard, I guess, to take in. In terms of our actual team, I've got to talk about Joe Bouchard because he's still improving, the kind of assistant. He's told me in training, yeah, he's improving again. I've had like a good school report from him telling me that the 19-year-old has developed a lot. Looks like he's going to be a fantastic centre mid for us. And somewhat surprisingly, still not been called up to the Canadian first team. Don't know what to make of that. Don't know what the Canadian national team manager's thinking. But, I mean, I guess it's not a bad thing because it just means he's playing less football and is less likely to get injured not playing for us. Anyway, looking at our team for today's game, we're going to go with Hamid Bar in goal. We're going to go with Melvin Thomas at left-back, actually, for today's game, the Canadian. Still learning that position, but he's becoming a very good fullback for us. Centre-backs, because of the various injuries and such, Barry O'Connor comes in at centre-back, the Irish international. The reason that he's in, actually, is because Medina is out injured still. He is going to be back soon, Medina, but it's been a pretty costly injury. He twisted his ankle, and he's been out for 4 weeks with that, and it has hurt his physicals just a little bit. A little bit concerning that perhaps the 19-year-old and ever-present member of our side last year, and a very good team captain as well. Anyway, the rest of our team, we have Tom Lees and, of course, Evans at right back. Looking further forward, we've got Smith, Benyu, Bouchard and Lourenco. Nothing weird going on there, really. And then we have Jackson and Stewart up front. On the bench, got lots of options. A very strong bench for today's game, and we could definitely have quality players we can call upon if need be. So anyway, we're going to get into today's game. A little bit of a longer episode. I felt like I wanted to talk a bit about everything that's been going on off the pitch. I felt like perhaps you miss out on some of that in some of the kind of commentaries you do, particularly when we're qualifying for the Champions League. But anyway, today we are taking on Galatasaray. We're away from home. They are playing a 4-3-3, I do believe. That is going to be an annoying formation to try and counter with 3 strikers. We'll see what we can do. We're going to need a really good performance from our kind of entire team, I think, today, though. And yeah, away from home, going to be a challenge. They are the #1 kind of seeded team in our group. I want an improved performance in this year's Champions League. Last year in the Champions League, we got 2 points from 2 draws against West Ham and AC Milan. This year, I want to try and get 1 win. That is the aim. 1 win. If we can get 2 points, that would be amazing. That was a very good start last year. But the other important thing, I think, is not to get spanked like we did against PSG twice, where I believe they beat us 7-1 and 6-1. Either way, first half here, still 0-0. I'm pleased with that. I am very pleased that we are holding Galatasaray to a draw. As I mentioned, we got 2 draws in last year's competition. If we could get another 2 draws again this year, I'd probably take that, to be honest. That would be a pretty good achievement. But if we could somehow, snatch a win from somewhere, I don't know where I can see it coming from against Juventus and Atletico Madrid in the other games. But if we could do that, I mean, that would be absolutely incredible. Anyway, Galatasaray on the attack here. They're going to test us for the first time, and it is Defrel with the goal. And the French national scores. It's a nice assist as well by Torrico. I think he whipped in the ball from the right-hand side, the number 11. And, well, the deadlock's been broken here. And after an amazing first half of defending, we've shot ourselves in the foot. We've let ourselves down. Tariko whipping in the ball here. And I don't know, I feel like Benyu should probably make an interception there. He's been sucked into the play, and he should be the man kind of cutting out that kind of slightly deeper cross. Unfortunately, just not in a position to do so. Part of me right now wants to switch to the 4-4-2 attack. I mean, I'm really tempted to just go for it now and see what we can do. We've done it in other competitions and it's worked well for us. I'm going to bring on Molesworth, I think, just because if we look here, Melvin Thomas struggling a little bit on 72% condition. I've got another change I can make if I want to. I don't think I'm going to make it just yet. We'll hold on to the rest of the subs for now. But, of course, we've got options in the likes of Diego Costa, who could come on off the bench and really make an impact for us. He's not played in a game yet for us in a competitive match. In fact, did he come on in the game previously qualifying for this? I can't remember. I don't think he did in the end. I think he was only on the bench. Either way, Mokoena, the South African, getting the goal this time. Tariko whipping in the ball. I swear we're on close camera for these replays. Maybe we're on director. We should be on director, I feel, for these replays, so you guys get a variety of camera angles. I have no idea why it wasn't on close camera, as it was set to be that 3D highlight. But either way, 2-0. I think now we make some changes. I don't want to say we necessarily go for it, but I think it's probably worth just making a change or two. We'll make the one for now and bring on Diego Costa. But we might as well go out now and, you know, flex our muscles, see if we can try and score a goal. Hamid Bar getting a damaged shoulder. I don't want him to get injured. This game's probably beyond us, so I'm going to bring in Alberto Romero on for him. Unusual to see a goalkeeper get injured. That is why I have a goalkeeper on the bench. We have a set piece. Can Lorenko work some magic? Smith, Lorenko, options in the middle. If we make it 2-1 now, they're going to be worried. Benyu, Bouchard, poor pass, gives it away. Tariko bringing the ball forward. Mokoena, Galatasaray swarming forward here. Nice defending by Lees, though, to chase back. And we do have quite a few men forward here now. Can we make something happen? Diego Costa winning it well in the air. Lays it out wide to Smith. Goes out wide to Molesworth, one of the subs. Can he get in the ball? Bouchard, he's there. The Canadian. Threads through Stewart. Stewart with a chance. Saved. But we did have a clear-cut chance. And I mean, looking at it, Galatasaray, they are yet to do that. I mean, basically, we're 1-0 up in clear-cut chances. Unfortunately, that counts for very little. And when you look at the rest of the stats, it's fair to say we've been outclassed. But I'll take it as a mini victory right now. I mean, knowing my luck, Galatasaray will now get 2 clear-cut chances in the last 10 minutes, so I can't even have my mini victory. But to be honest, if we were to lose only 2 or 3-0, I'd probably be quite happy with that. As sad as that might sound to go, oh, we only lost 3-0. That's offside as well. The bottom line is we are playing against superior opposition. We don't have the budgets of the likes of Galatasaray. And really, I think the aim in this match and, well, the rest of the matches in this Champions League is going to be about doing the club proud, showing us in a good light, hopefully boosting the club rep. If we can snatch a historic win up against any clubs, I mean, that would be absolutely fantastic. But the main objective really each season for the next few years, I think, really is just to consistently get to this stage in the competition. And, well, we've done it for all the last 2 years. We're slowly building up a bank balance and we're slowly building up a foundation which we can hopefully build off. Either way, that game only finished 2-0 in the end. That is not a bad performance away from home against the highest seeded team in the group, particularly when you compare it to our results against Paris previously. Unfortunately, Hamid Bar out for 4 to 5 weeks, so that is probably going to be Romero coming into the side. Also, Diego Costa finding it tough. Apparently, he's struggling to find the back of the net. The goal drought is getting to him. I will probably play him in the game against Europa Point because he's pretty much guaranteed a goal against them as our own personal punching bags in the division. We often beat them quite convincingly, so I think we'll give him a chance there. Either way, that is going to wrap up this episode from me, guys. In terms of when we'll be back, I think we will do the home tie against Juventus. I might even do the home tie against Juventus and against Atletico Madrid as a double-header live com next episode. If you'd like to see that, let me know down in the comments. I know a few people last year were a little bit upset that perhaps I only covered 3 of these 6 Champions League group stage games last year, considering it was our first year there. So we'll try and make it up to you with a double header next time out. If you have enjoyed this video, guys, smash the like button. If you've got any comments, leave them down below. And other than that, it is me, Jack, and I'll talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.